Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. Now, the Poultry Association of Nigeria has revealed that more than 30% of poultry farms across the country closed in the past 6 months. The National Publicity Secretary, Godwin Egbebe, while speaking with journalists, attributed the shutdowns to the exorbitant operational cost and the cost of transportation, which have driven up egg prices nationwide. Mr. Egbebe affirmed that the increasing cost of feed has put immense pressure on poultry farms, making it difficult for many to sustain operations. Let's talk this through by speaking with a poultry farmer, Taiwo Adeoye, who is joining us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
That's the way you're laughing, because that was what we were discussing before, you came on air. The price of egg and everything, because now poultry farms are closing down. But first and foremost, with the over 30% of the farms that I said have closed down, what does this alarming trend reveal about the state of Nigeria's poultry industry, and what do you think are far-reaching implications on the Nigerian economy?
By what you are saying, or that you have been said, the industry is collapsing. Mm-hmm. And let me start by commending on TVC, because some time ago, you are always inviting me to come here and talk about the industry. And about 2020, after COVID, I predicted all this. When I met one of the staff where I was sitting at the reception, I reminded him, and he remembered. I actually predicted that if things go the way it is, by now, egg will reach 5,000.
If things go the way
it was going.
What was that thing?
The high cost of raw material. Okay. Precisely feeds. Feed constitute about 75 to 80% right now. Before, it used to be 65, 70. It's now 75 to 80% cost of production, if not more. As at yesterday, now on almost a day interval, price of feeds is jacked up by the feed millers, because of the raw material cost. At the time I was at the studio then, maize was going for, and I was shouting, was just less than 160,000 per ton. Maize, as I'm talking to you now, is between 820 to 850,000 per ton. Soya is between 780 to 800,000 per ton. Wheat over, which ordinarily about this season is always cheaper because of the competition between the cattle rearer and the poultry users of the product. Because they can now have grasses, they don't use much of wheat over about this time. Wheat over is about 310,000 per ton. GNC is not even available at 750,000 per ton. So just yesterday, the feed miller informed me, one of the suppliers of feed to our farm, informed us that they have increased again. They increased about 4 days ago. In 2 weeks now, they have increased up to 4 times prices of feed. So, but farmers are not getting the benefit, because even from the farm now, farm gate price we call it, a crate of egg is still less than 4,000 to 4,000. But by the time you had the transportation, the haulage and all that, and then the middlemen and women, they would have put their own, and that is what you are now seeing in the marketplace. Then the truth of it is that how many people can really afford that now under this dispensation?
Talking about how many persons can afford this, you will agree with me, or you may not agree with me, that the federal government has introduced some monetary and non-monetary initiatives just before we talk about the state of farms in Nigeria to, alleviate or cushion the effect of this economic situation on Nigerians. And the publicity secretary for the Poultry Association of Nigeria was quoted to have said that these palliatives were received, but they were not enough to tackle some of the ills in the sector. So let's start with you. Did you receive the palliative? What did it constitute? And was it shared equally?
Which palliative? I challenge them openly here. How many farmers get what? There was a time they were distributing maize here in Lagos, giving like how many bags? 10 bags to farmers. With full capacity, I will use more than 5 tons of maize in a day on my farm.
Because you have a very large farm.
I'm just an average.
Yeah, it may not be the same with someone who has a small.
Even if somebody has, okay, let me give you the scenario. To produce a ton of feed should feed like just 8,000 birds a day. To produce a ton of feed, you will need about 500 kg. 100 kg, that is 5 into a ton. It's sad when you are hearing that farmers are getting palliative. Where are the farmers? Go out there. And that is one of the major problems that we are having, practical farmers. I'm not talking about political farmers. We have what I call political farmers. Apart from being a farmer, I'm a specialist. I'm an animal scientist.
What does political farmer, what does it mean?
They are just on paper. They don't have single birds on their farm.
Are you saying that politicians don't have right to own their farms, or some of them?
I'm talking about political farmer, a name coined for people who try to represent farmers, but they are not involved in the production.
But you just acknowledged that maize was distributed to some.
I heard about it.
In Lagos.
I heard about it.
So to an extent, it happened, but it was not just enough for some farms. That's what you're saying.
To what extent? That's what I'm saying. I've accused them, those group of people as well. You get feed, you receive maize. It's sad when we are getting this kind of report. My farm is not in Lagos anyway. But
that's the reason why you are not.
I'm aware. I'm an opinion leader in this industry. And don't forget, I'm the immediate past president of Animal Science Association of Nigeria. I'm currently the chairman of Poultry Science Discipline of Nigerian Institute of Animal Science. So I'm aware, I'm involved.
Just to be very clear, just for the purpose of this conversation, what's the location of the farm, so we could start from there?
We have 2 locations, one at Osun State, Iwo precisely, and one at Ibadan, at Oyalami village, very close to Togate.
So if you're looking at locations, because based on the fact that you have information coming from different states, are you saying that state governments or maybe federal governments are not doing enough to mitigate the impact of this rising cost of production on poultry farms?
At all. At all. And I'm able to say it here. You go out and interview farmers. I've said not political farmers. I know TVC doing that before. You go out and talk to farmers. If that is the case, why are we here? Why is feed moving from the time I predicted this? How much was a bag of feed for layers, for boilers? Farmers are hearing me now. And if you allow them to make comment, they will tell you. So it's sad. And we all know why all this, the input, the production input, why the price is going high on delivery, they are not available. Farmers are not able to farm because of insecurity. No, I'm not only
but you said something. You said you've been raising the alarm back in the day, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
After the COVID?
And yes, post-COVID, because we are still, there's still some part of the country, part of the world that are still, having to fight against COVID. Even some different diseases are coming out. At that time, there was loud noise across the, globally, that there will be food crisis. There will be so much crisis after this pandemic. Do we now completely lay the blame of, what we're experiencing now at the doorsteps of the government? Because this is something that is experienced world over. UK is going to election today. Part of the reasons, part of the topic or issues for this election is the rising cost of goods and services and impact on the economy. So it's a global affair.
Yeah, it's a global affair, I know, but the government, let me come out to tell you, even then, the prices are going up. When you compare the situation in the country now with what happens over all other countries, I was in UK in April, just came back from US, so I can tell also. It is true that the prices are going up everywhere. Inflation is there, but can you compare what we have here? My people say, where I come from, they say once you remove the issue of food crisis, then you cannot talk about poverty again per se. As I'm talking to you on Wednesday yesterday, I know an organization, a church precisely, that distributed cartons of beef and chicken in Atlanta. It was in their platform that people should come. And when they go for such, they don't even kill themselves. Try to say you want to give palliative now in Nigeria if you don't kill up to 1,000 people. Because people will rush. Hunger is in town. So we know that there are crises all over the world. Economic crisis. But how are we tackling it here in this country? One of the things those countries we want to do, the leaders there, we want to do, is to ensure that at least you have food safety, food security. So are we doing that? You know what tomato is saying now. We have my sisters here, the women here, we tell you, go to market now. And we have all the resources from Lagos to Maiduguri to Sokoto. Put anything on the soil, it will grow. But are we encouraging people to do farming in this country? The youth, are we encouraging them? Are we, those of us who are there, who are still there, because some have left truly, some have been discouraged. You saw the video that is being shown now. If you have not opted out, then you have reduced capacity. At least 50% of what you have produced before, or 30% or 20%, if you have not finally closed down your shop in poultry as of today.
So in summary, you're actually laying the blame of, this crisis that the industry is facing at the foot of the federal government. I'm still talking. Let's not forget that the federal government has been quite vocal in the area of agriculture as regards monetary, non-monetary initiatives. Recently, we had even the Southwest governors, gathered to talk about agriculture, and they mandated their commissioners of agriculture to ensure that a template is given. And we've also had, the federal government urging everyone to go into subsistence farming. I know this might be coming quite a bit late, but while we're also, blaming the federal government, late last year, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture distributed palliatives in Oyo State, 200 poultry farmers. In those states, distributed 40 trailers of maize, and in Delta State, 7,660 bags of rice. Are you saying this did not help, or whoever received this were not the target audience?
Thank you very much. When you are looking at the requirement and the need, to what extent would that go into? I must also say that federal government, I have my information, give license to people to import maize. What have they done to it? Somebody told me yesterday that the landing cost of maize by those people should not be more than about 450 to 500,000 per ton. Are they not also catching into what is happening and selling at a exorbitant price? No, I'm not.
Oh, you're saying that people, individual...
that were given license to,
right,
not individual
they're also
companies.
Contributing to,
yes,
to the issues we're facing.
So, you see, when we are looking at the leadership problem, we need to look at followers too.
The company factor, yeah.
So I'm not here to blame government alone. There are issues that we must resolve. And there are several solutions to this if government also will listen. What kind of farming are we doing here? We are not doing mechanized farming per se. What is the density of maize that we are planting on particular acre of land? What is our yield? Apart from insecurity.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting at the reception, I was talking to a security consultant, expert. And we talk on that issue as well. Now, you just mentioned about those governors. For instance, if the Southwest governor, because we must be looking at solutions, not just the challenges. And I think that I can tell you more about that. The Southern governors, the Southwest governor that you are talking about, they can come together and have a kind of community, farming community. And that, because even in the Southwest, there is a security issue.
Absolutely. Because of our time, let me quickly chip in this question. We have just about 3 minutes to end this conversation. How relevant is the Yoruba adage that will say that before the advent of maize, chicken fed on something? How relevant is that, that saying to this current reality as you're looking for solutions? Because people must, eat egg. They need protein. We need protein.
Thank you. Animal protein is necessary, especially for the young ones, for brain development, for them to perform well. The alternative to maize is not just maize. We have soya. Before we start using soya bean meal here, I'm not too young in this industry. I've put in up to 35 years in the industry, poultry industry. And they are alternative, but you cannot replace maize totally. Now we have what we call cassava peel. To what extent can we? In fact, it's not even available enough. You can replace maize by 20% of that. Sorghum, white sorghum or yellow sorghum can be used.
Those ones are not as expensive as maize.
No, they are also expensive now. Everything is going up. But the truth of it is that in those days, they used to throw away real dry grains, real waste.
Yeah.
I remember growing up on my father's farm, you have it there. But today, you can use to some extent, you can use that. I'm an animal nutritionist in your formulation. But then, how available? People are no longer farming. Is the major challenge in those crops. Then the seed that we are using, are they improved? I have said it here before. Most of the things that seed that our farmers are planting are just grains. They are not seed. The yield on per acre is still less than 3%. 3 tons per acre. Whereas in the places like US, it's about 10 tons, 10 to minimum, 10 tons per acre. So all these things we need to look at. The government should help farmers. When I was younger, I grew up in a farming community. We used to have extension agents that come to train farmers of how to use modern technology. When fertilizer first introduced in my area, there are extension agents that were teaching farmers how to use them. Where are they today? One of the major challenges we have in this country is also corruption. And we cannot run away from it. They are here. We are feeling it. The farmers are feeling it. And the masses are now feeling it too. Because we are now buying eggs at 5,000. Somebody just told you now 5,600 something in his area. And it's going to continue. More farms will close down. If we continue this way, more farms will go down because the farmers are no longer making money. Well, so people want to catch in, get some money out, and look for something else to do.
Well, we just pray that things don't go further bad the way they are.
We pray so.
Because we do not want it to be worse, let alone talking about the worst.
We pray so, but do something.
Thank you very kindly, poultry farmer Taiwo Adeoye. Thank you so much. Very important issue we discussed, and then with that insight that you gave us, thank you so much. We hope we'll have time to talk about these in the future.
It's my pleasure.
Right. You'll stay with us here on TVC Breakfast.